Hi gents. Look, good to see that we're all on build up. So what I've done is I've thrown in an assignment for you there, just to try out. We're going to do just for the last while. We'll do a little bit of junior cert revision, stuff like that, just so you can practice some of the things you might be a bit rusty for, that'll set you off for the start of next year. So what we'll just look at is just multiplying out brackets. That was one of the things that I got, and then the other one was doing adding and subtracting, I suppose, fractions where you've got a number on the bottom. But again, it's just using algebra. So first things first, is you've got 5 amounts of x plus 2y, maybe something like that. What that really means is, if you've got 5 of them, you've got x plus 2y. You've also got x plus 2y. That means that you've got 2 amounts of x plus 2y. We have 5 of them. Really starting to regret having picked 5 of them. So I've written 4 of them out. There you go, there's 5 of them. So what we do, if we were to rewrite it, you could have x plus x plus x plus x plus x plus 2y plus 2y plus 2y plus 2y plus 2y. Could definitely think of better examples here. Okay, what do we have? We have 5 x's, and how many y's do we have in total? We've got 10 y's. Okay, now of course if you had to do that every time, that'd be awful, especially if that was a big number in front. So we just learned with the brackets, if you've got something plus or minus on the inside, you have 5 x's and you have 5 amounts of 2y. So that'll just get your 5x plus 10y. Okay, so you can just go straight to that. That's just how you multiply out brackets. Okay, 5x plus 10y. If we take a negative example, if we take 3 times x minus 2y. Okay, what's a good idea when I do all of these, just I should have said at the beginning, the way to use the video is pause. Okay, just pause it, write out the answer, or even just say it out loud. If you just watch the video, you're not going to get much from it. You really do have to interact with it here. So this is going to be 3x, because we just do the same thing. We multiply 3 by x to get us 3x, and 3 by minus 2y to get us minus 6y. Okay, so far so good. What if we have, we'll actually just make it a plus b times c plus d. Okay, so we'll just do it like that. Right, in this case, what you would say is this. If you want to think of it in terms of numbers, maybe. Okay, here's a good way to think of it. When we had 5 times x plus 2y. Remember, we had 5 x's and 5 amounts of 2y. If instead we wrote this as, instead of 5 by x plus 2y, if instead you write it as 2 plus 3 times x plus 2y, what does that really mean? One way to think of it is that now, when you said that you had 5 amounts of x plus 2y, this is a way of saying that we have 2 amounts of x plus 2y. Well, 2 amounts of them would be 2x, oh, sorry, 2x, I beg your pardon, plus 4y's. And if we've got a further 3 x plus 2y's, that would be 3x's and 6y's. That in total does make 5x plus 10y. It is the same as having 5 amounts of x plus 2. So you're just kind of splitting it up. You're just saying that, okay, we've 2 of those things and we've got 3 of those things. Okay? Now, of course, if you had 2 plus 3 times the rest of it, you would, of course, just call it 5. But you could have a case there, just with the example that I've given. I just prefer this font. It's much easier to see. A plus B times C plus D. If you follow those same rules, it's A times C, we call that AC. It's A times D, we call that AD. It's B times C, we call that BC. And it's B times D, we call it BD. That's it. There's actually nothing more that you can do with that. That is what it is to multiply out those things there. So if we just, take a couple of examples, we'll say 2a minus 3b times minus 4c plus 2d. So, okay, what we get again, give it a pause, try it out, or maybe just say it out loud just before I do it. So That is going to give us minus 8c, and trust me, the signs make a big difference. Plus 4ad. Plus, again, so easy to go wrong with the signs, bc, and minus 6bd. There's nothing wrong with shouting out the answers just before I do it. I'm shouting at my computer screen. So it's no less weird if you're doing it on your side. So that's what we have when it comes to that. Those are the rules of multiplying out brackets. Okay, and you know it doesn't get too much worse than that. The worst possible thing they could do, a plus b plus c. You know, if there's 3 things in there, by another 3 things, we'll say d plus c plus f. You know, that's awful. But you'll just do a by each one of them, b by each one of them, and then it's hard to draw this one in. You just do c by each of them. Okay, so just do it in order. It's a pain as opposed to difficult, but practice on this one makes perfect. So that's why you should be trying it out with the build up thing. Okay, what we'll do now is we'll just have a look at the second thing that I was asking you to try out, and that is to add fractions, where algebraic fractions where you've got some constant on the bottom. Okay, now people always forget how to add fractions, so let's just take an example with numbers before we go anywhere near a little bit of algebra or anything like that. We'll say 1/2 plus 3/5. So hopefully now that you remember, in order to be able to add these 2 things here, you know, don't write anything mad like 4/7 or something wild. In order to be able to add those 2 numbers together, you're going to need a common denominator. Of course you can reach for your calculator, but don't. So you're looking for the number that both those denominators divide into, preferably the smallest number. And in this case, it is going to be 10. One sure way to get a denominator, not necessarily the lowest one, is to just multiply the 2 numbers together. That way you can be sure. Okay, so with a half, in order to make it something over 10, you would say, what do I multiply by? Well, by 5, and the top by 5. 5/10. Of course, we would know that anyway, hopefully. 3/5 is something over 10. What am I doing? I'm doing times 2 and times 2. So that's going to be 6/10. So there you go, 11/10. So far, so good, maybe. But what if we have some nasty algebra up there? Let's say this was it. We'll just keep everything positive for the moment. Now, I'm sure if you saw that, your first instinct is, oh God. But if you just look at the example on the left-hand side, it's the exact same thing. Common denominator is going to be 10, and still common denominator is going to be 10. And you just have to say, just like you did the last time, 2x plus 3 over 2 is equal to something over 10. Well, I multiply by 5, so I need to take that thing there and multiply it by 5. So in order to do that, remember it's the whole thing by 5. Excuse me. Hay fever still hasn't gone. So that top bit by 5, 10x plus 15. When you see this, you know, really, is it that difficult? It's really not that difficult. The other one here, I wonder, can you do that in your head? What am I doing? I'm going from something over 5 to something over 10, so I'm having to multiply the bottom by 2, so I have to multiply the top by 2. What is the denominator when multiplied by 2? Well, it's just 2x plus 8. That's it. It's now over 10. Both are tenths, so we just add the top to find out what we have. And we have 12 x's, and we have, what's that, 23. That's it, 12x plus 23 over 10. So that's an example of how you add together fractions. Let's where there's algebra involved. Let's take some negatives. So we'll say 3x minus 7. This time we'll say over what? We'll say over 4. Let's do minus, because this one is, yeah, there's a little subtlety when it comes to minuses. We'll put this guy over 3 and we'll just say 2x minus 5. We'll make this as tricky now as what we can make it. So first thing you have to decide is, what is the common denominator? So hopefully you can see that the common denominator should be 12 for both things. That's the smallest number that they both divide into. So what are we going to do now? You can actually do this in your head. You can say, okay, if I'm going from quarters from 4 to 12, what am I multiplying by? I'm multiplying by 3. So I've got to also multiply the top line by 3. And if you're not sure of it, it's fine. Just go over to the side. Just do, okay, by 3 and by 3. Okay, the top thing by 3, 9x minus 21. This bottom one here, or one on the right, sorry, I should say, the bottom is going from thirds to 12ths, so I'm multiplying by 4. So I got to take the top thing and multiply by 4. 8x minus 20. Now we've got our 12 there, but we've got to be careful. It's 9x minus 21, that bit's fine, but I need to take away this thing here. Now think about it. If I'm taking away an 8x, that's fine. But if I'm taking away a minus 20, what I'm really doing is I'm adding 20 to it. Okay? Minus 20 is like a debt. So if you take away a debt, you're really adding something in. Okay? So that's what we have. So we're just left with what? X minus 1. Simple as that. Yeah, that seems right. Over 12. Okay, and that's that for me. I think is a little, it's about as tricky as what it can be. So okay, I've given you the assignment to try it. Will you do me a favor? Will you drop me a message, just like you saw somebody doing there, on Teams? And if you drop me a message, if you've got a problem with it or anything like that, that's good. Also, if there's anything that you particularly want to cover, I'm gonna bang out now a few more videos. I've got the hang of this here, and we can get a few bits and bobs done. Okay, gents, take care. Hope you're keeping well. Bye now.